Hi, this is Bob from Turbot. If you're looking for a quick demo of Turbot Guardrails features, you're in the right spot. Today we're going to show how you can leverage Turbot Guardrails to continuously sync your Amazon, Azure, and Google Cloud resources right into your ServiceNow CMDB. In ServiceNow, you can create an application, and in that application is going to be where the syncing occurs. And so you can either leverage the application to host the tables that are going to be part of your CMDB. You can also leverage existing CMDB CI tables, or you can extend off of existing tables as well. In this example, I'm going to use my own application and my own tables within that application for a simplistic demo. Now, to get started with creating my first table, I can go to Turbot and set policies that will enable table creation per Amazon, Azure, or Google resource type. I'm going to be using Amazon S3 buckets as an example for the demo. I have it set to skip, and I can simply just enforce the configuration to occur, just like other Turbot guardrails. Just hit enforce configured, and now that has set the policy, and then Turbot behind the scenes is going to create and continuously manage a ServiceNow table for Amazon S3 buckets. Within the background, Turbot Guardrails has created a table, and so we could see that come through here. And now with the refresh, now we have that table stored in here. The initial columns that I have created for that table are just a handful of pieces of metadata from Amazon. So the account ID, the bucket name, the region, and the tags of the resource. Within Amazon S3, I have this enabled just on one Amazon account. So I have about 4 buckets here. And what I want to do is now use Turbot to sync those items in. And so one is I have a policy to manage the tables, and then 2 is a policy to enforce the syncing of those items. Here I can then put Turbot in enforce mode to enable the sync. And this sync is going to continuously not only sync the existing 4 resources I have, but any new resources that are created, any changes to the existing resources, as well as the deletion of any resource. Now, guardrails can manage any resources that are deleted and then remove them from your CMDB. We also have the option to archive those resources with a status field in case your organization does not approve deleting resources out of your enterprise CMDB. So here I'm going to use the full sync option and going to hit update. Now, that policy is now enabled. Turbot's going to take all the existing Amazon S3 buckets and then sync them into the table that we've created. We'll see Turbot already acted that quickly and has already created the 4 resources with the metadata that we selected to be part of the table. You can also handle creations, updates, and deletes. So as part of this demo, I will create an Amazon S3 bucket. So here we'll create an Acme demo. Now we have our new bucket here, and we should see that come through not only in Turbot, so if you're a Turbot administrator, you'll see those configurations in that activity, and I'll show that off in a minute. But you'll then also see it in ServiceNow and be an additional resource that's then added to this list. So if I refresh the screen here, should see that resource come through. And yes, it has. So it has come in as a resource, and there's currently no tags on that resource, so it's come in this Amazon account under that bucket name in US East 1. Now, this also works with configuration drift, so any changes to existing resources. And so here I'll take the Acme demo Turbot 1 bucket, I'll go to the properties, and I'll update one of the tags. Here I have a number of tags that are set on the bucket, and so if I come here and do a Turbot demo, and then hit yes, Turbot demo key value pair is added to the bucket. In Turbot, we can actually see that change happen. And so within your Turbot console, if you want to track that change, so if you want to go to Acme Turbot Demo 1, you can look at that resources within Turbot and view the activity. And so here, Bob made that update where I added that key Turbot underscore demo and the value of yes. And we should also see that associated within your ServiceNow environment. And so this was on the Acme demo Turbot 1. Yeah. Here we'll be able to see that demo underscore Turbot equals yes. You can also manage your table and extend it beyond just a handful of metadata that you might primarily care about. There's also other information that you can bring in from Amazon, and as well as bring in data outside of your cloud providers. And you can create custom columns and then feed information into those columns. So I'll show you both use cases. So this is another policy that we can use to manage the table definition for what we're syncing into ServiceNow. And so the table that we built earlier automatically created a CI table called Amazon S3 bucket. I could have chosen to extend it off an existing table, or could have aligned it to a table that was already in the ServiceNow CMDB. The columns we picked were just a handful, but there's a wealth of other data that we could pull from Amazon into the policy here. So as an example, if I wanted to pull in additional info like the bucket versioning, I could simply add the versioning enabled column, and that will track whether the bucket has objects that are being versioned or not. I can also bring in a custom column called application ID, which I'm actually going to pull from the tagging information and then surface that into its own column. And so here I could just hit update, and now that will be updated, and we can move the ServiceNow to show that added into the table. Great. So now we have this new table definition. We should see this come through in ServiceNow in a few more seconds, and then I'll have more columns that we can leverage and show within the ServiceNow table here. The other policy setting is to then put what information that we want in those additional columns. And so in the configuration item policy, we can define the data that's going into each column. So the account ID, the bucket name, region, and the tags. And so we can now add where we want the information to come from to fill in the versioning and the application ID. And so we can open up that policy and then add that information in here. So if we then come in here and add the versioning enabled field, we can then bring in from Turbot Guardrails the data that's coming in from Amazon. And so I could bring in the versioning status. And then also the application ID I can surface from the tags and pulling the key called app_ID. And so here, if I update and then save it into the policy setting, I now have the versioning enabled and app ID as part of that. And now Turbot knows where to pull that data from. And if we go back in the ServiceNow, we'll see those records updated. And now Turbot has brought in the application ID that surfaced it from the tag information. It also brought in more metadata from Amazon on the versioning enabled status. So this is just a few examples of what you can do with continuously syncing your Amazon, Azure, and Google resources into your CMDB. There's much more to unpack with how you can leverage Turbot Guardrails to continuously sync from your cloud providers to ServiceNow. If you have any interest, please reach out to us at turbot.com/start. Thank you. If you feel that your organization would benefit from Turbot Guardrails, we would love to talk. Please reach out to us at turbot.com/guardrails, and more information is in the video description below.